Welcome to another episode of Kiss My Assets.
The transparency, the openness, the communication is more than you could expect. I'm sold.
Don't let the fact that you don't know something or don't know enough about something hold you back.
I knew I wanted to invest. What better way to invest than to invest in what I already know that I love, which is real estate.
It was initially the 12% return, but it quickly turned into the people.
Thank you to our listeners for being a part of our first 100 episodes of the Kiss My Assets podcast. Please enjoy some of our favorite moments and highlights from the last 2 years, and we look forward to sharing more with you in the evolving world of investment real estate.
There is a huge distinction when you invest in a company like ours and either our fund or in our individual projects, because it is really passive income. So to give you an idea of the type of investors who we often get, we have full-time professionals. It could be school teachers, dentists, attorneys, doctors, because they got to do their job day to day. And they like real estate, but they can't become a landlord. They don't have the time. They don't have the expertise. So passive income is something that they can invest in. The money works for them, but they don't have to do the day-to-day grind that the other types of real estate investing include.
Everybody is in a different place. And so when people are mostly interested in investing or starting a retirement plan or starting some kind of a plan, most people need some kind of a map to where to start. And so what I always try to talk to people about is starting up to do something is better than doing nothing. Some people they decide that they want to put money in a savings account. That's way better than doing nothing. And so when you get down to the nitty-gritty of where you're going to invest your money, that's kind of secondary to, hey, do you have any money to invest? What are you doing now? When do you need the money? And then we can really start drilling down into the best places to invest it.
I would say the return is what attracted me to the project. The 12% return, and at the time the banks were paying 0.5% on the savings, and I thought this is it's backed by real estate and it's a good thing, and that was long before prices were going crazy like they are now. But it was initially the 12% return, but it quickly turned into the people. It had a great open relationship, and everybody accepted everybody, and we're in this together. And so truly it has continued, and I've been on every project.
I'm a firm believer in never depending on anyone else for your income. I think it's a very valuable skill to be able to make money on your own. And if you think about it, the way I thought about it is, as long as I'm working a job, I'll never really feel like I can get ahead. And so I knew I wanted to invest. And so what better way to invest than to invest in what I already know that I love, which is real estate.
Right.
And so all through law school, I knew I wanted to invest in real estate. I was always on Zillow, on LoopNet, the commercial sites, looking at lands, looking at multifamily buildings that I knew I couldn't afford yet. And then one night, just by chance, I was in the library, should have been studying, was not studying. And I get an email, and I think this is how I was first exposed to you guys, to Neighborhood Ventures. It was an article, I think it was the Business Journal. And it basically said Neighborhood Ventures was coming out with this project. It was the Tempe project, the first one. And I just thought that was perfect. Like, I can get in on a real estate project, which would typically cost like millions of dollars, with just $1,000.
We want to talk about today what is called the BI quadrant of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad 4 quadrants. There's 4 quadrants. Basically what this means is there's 4 ways you can make money in your life. 2 ways are earning the money, And then 2 ways are getting it from investments. The difference between passive income and earned income is important to know. Passive income is money that's just going to come in whether you work or not. And that's the money we all want to get to.
Yes.
Most of us don't have that unless our parents gave us a bunch of money. Right? Earned income is the pay that we get by showing up to a job and getting that money because we're paid a salary and we've earned it. A lot of people think they're going to become an entrepreneur, and they're actually buying a job because they're buying a company that requires a lot of work. The key you can tell is if you leave, can you leave for 6 months or a year at a time and the business still generate money?
Yeah. Can you separate yourself from the business?
Then that's a business.
Yeah.
If you can't leave for a week or two without crap hitting the fan, you own a job and you're self-employed. What was kind of your why? Why did you do this? Was it financial, or was it because you enjoyed owning real estate, or a little bit of both? But what kind
It
of
was
motivated you?
absolutely both, and it was really very rewarding, both financially and personally, when we were able to, with doing the work we did, send 3 kids to college with the money we made
That's
out
amazing.
of real estate. And these were private colleges.
Yeah. So you said your husband was kind of working full time,
Yes.
maybe kind of taking care of the day to day. So the profits you had from real estate, you're able to dedicate to
Yes.
university. That's a great model, great goal. Just kind of your overall view. Why do you choose to invest your money now?
Yeah. So let me first mention that you're talking to an immigrant who's coming from former communist-based regime country, right? As you show up here, I immigrated when I was 24. You're like blank sheet of paper. You have no credit history. You have nothing. You have, you were kind of born out of nowhere at 24.
You're a 24-year-old baby.
Yeah, you're on the paper. Yeah, you have nothing. So you start kind of doing all these things where you start learning about the system. Okay, and one thing that was obvious to me, people here dealt with businesses, with money, and with a lot of things that we've never had to deal with. From the perspective of someone who's coming here from poorer country, it's just like, oh my God, it's all of a sudden you're on the moon. You cannot comprehend it right away. But I worked and I did my education here, and then I kept working. For many years, investing was off the option for me. Maybe when I started my company, when I started asking myself first of all, when you start your business, and I don't have business background, I would go to people that run different businesses, whatever they're selling, socks, bananas, I didn't care. I was like, how do you do that? Tell me how do you do that? When I finally could invest, I actually went to you and I asked you, and the first thing you said, like, why don't you invest in your own company?
Right.
It can scale, right? I'll never forget that, right? So what I'm really good at my journalism is I go and ask.
Yeah.
I cannot get 5 other educations now just to understand how the society functions. I would rather ask, and people are very willing to share their opinions and insights with you. When I start my business, the first question you ask yourself is where you want to be. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Now you're not on paychecks anymore. You can actually think about what kind of paycheck you want to have, and I don't know, 1 year from now. And so as you ask these questions to yourself, all of a sudden all these old stuff is showing up, like how to think about money and why, and okay, I have a master's degree, and now I'm supposed to make this much. I'm not making this much. Why am I not making this much? How can I get there, right? Am I greedy to think about money this way? So I started listening to a bunch of podcasts about money.
Of course.
About
of course,
money. Bunch of podcasts. Reading and listening. For people like myself, I was like, this is really good. This is like a whole university of truth.
There's a blueprint.
Right? Yeah. So I did stuff like that in the beginning. That was my personal kind of path.
When people first hear pay yourself first, they think, oh, I get to go out and get a fast food or whatever and make myself really happy right now. But pay yourself first is, I have this much that's going into a savings account. I don't touch unless it's an emergency. And when it gets to a certain amount, it is used for investments. and then I build it back up. And that is pay yourself first. So you're never caught behind having to use credit, having to bail yourself out of anything. You can just handle things as they come up and start to invest in the future.
I'm going to steal that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going above my TV.
Money's like manure.
Yeah.
You know, it's only good if you spread it around for young things to grow.
That's right. Well,
that's our new tagline on our website.
Yeah, money is manure.
Money is manure.
I mean,
Money is just
gotta
like
spread it
going on
around.
our website.
That's right. Mhm.
Everything you were doing from the get-go was professional and polished and, again, transparent and thorough. And it was really, really impressive. And I thought, well, you know, if this thing doesn't work, it's not these guys' fault because whatever you're doing it well, and you're doing it right, and you're doing it right by your investors. And then to see it blossom and pay off and flip and go on to the next, it was like, yep, these guys got it figured out.
You know, one of the big things that we're, offering is building a trust with a lot of different folks. You know, it's a relationship, even though a lot of it's online and with videos. It's doing what we say we're going to do, and if there is problems, we just talk about them up front, because to your point, we can't control everything,
Right.
unfortunately. But it's about controlling what we can control, and if we can, being all over that, and then dealing with the things that we can't control, and being honest with everyone if something has happened that threw us off course, and then having a solution of how we're going to do it. The unique thing about investing with Neighborhood Ventures is you can also invest in something you believe in, because we are going to be sustainable in our projects. It may not be the number one priority that we have, I'll be honest. Our number one priority is to get our investors' returns to them. That is our number one priority. But just below that is to make sure our budgets come in line and to be more sustainable and to reuse what we can. And we try to do that in as many situations as we can, and then we've donated a lot to Habitat for Humanity as well.
Which Habitat's one of our partners, as well as Stardust. So it's kind of like you just continue to build the community, and where the people with Green Living are so amazing is they're all very brand loyal. So we partner together, we do events, and I think after this last event, you'll be getting some investors.
Yeah, because you would much rather invest in and support businesses that are aligned with what you believe in, especially as it comes to things like this, sustainability and environmentally conscious, because we know, frankly, the business world, investment world, a lot of times has ignored that, but investors care about that today, and I think it's great, because once investors care about it, once the dollar cares about it,
right,
people listen and they respond, and a lot of public companies are now submitting those reports, and they're making it a priority in the company to look for those things. So tell us a bit about why you were attracted to Neighborhood Ventures when you found out about us, and now
the 12% return.
Yeah. Like I said, you know your stuff. So getting a 12%, a double-digit return with commercial real estate that's a stable investment is something a lot of people are attracted to. The other thing, this is obviously passive income. You don't have to do the work.
Right.
But it's also, was that something that was attractive to you with this, is that you could put the money away and you didn't have to do the work necessarily?
That, and I could put 10,000 in and again, not have to do all the work. And then in a few years, I get it all back with my interest.
Yeah. And then you can either keep rolling it in, or you can do other things with it.
Yeah, which is convenient.
You have to find ways to save and work, but just know if you work, you can get there. But then, going back to investing, what do you do from there? Once you have enough to where you're like, okay, I can do something with this, what do you do from there? So
yeah, and those values, teaching that to kids, that's kind of the same way I grew up, youngest of 8 kids.
That's insane.
And you
so many kids.
If we had a new set of or a new package of Oreos that my mom got from the grocery store, is like, you better grab some or you're not going to get any. And it was hectic at times, but I definitely had to learn that if I wanted to to get something. I had to earn it on my own.
Right.
And so it's a great mindset. And then it's a good problem to have once you start thinking about investing.
Right.
And those tend to be the folks who are able to invest because you worked hard and you value your dollar. You're not going to just spend it on frivolous things
Right.
as well.
No, that's exactly what it is. And there was a time when I was a lot younger when I had to have the newest phone and I had to have the newest things. And now it's like, oh, but I have to keep living too. So the money I have, if I spend it on this phone, it's not going to do anything for me. So I did get to a point where I was like, okay, well, where do we go from here? And I talked to a couple people and I started learning like investing really in real estate.
The millennial demographic is really driving the trends in multifamily as we look at not only the number of people who continue to rent, who are happy renting, the amenities that they want at the projects, at their homes. And we also love that a lot of our investors are renters. So it is a very unique and kind of fun story to follow along.